Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about you are responsible for everything. In non-duality, there is only self. There's only you. Wherever the eye looks, there's only the self. The self is the sole cause of everything. Everything arises in self-consciousness and is not other than self-consciousness. And as what you really are is self, ultimately, you are responsible for everything. And this actually works well with when I talk about free will and choice as well. Because the self is the sole chooser, and using free will, everything is chosen. And so it's interesting to actually play with these two things in almost sort of a practice. Because the way we act or react is different if there is no room to blame, no room to shirk and say I'm not responsible, or things like that. For example, I had mentioned the empty boat before, where it's a Zen story where an empty boat hits a boatman. He turns to chew out the person and finds it's an empty boat, and the anger goes away. And he kind of laughs to himself. Now, I also find that we are rather forgiving with ourselves. So if we, due to stupidity, pull out weirdly in traffic or accidentally cut somebody off because we simply didn't see them, maybe they're in our blind spot or something, we forgive ourselves quite easily. Now, if somebody else did something weird in traffic or cut us off, some people will get very, very mad and maybe start shouting, even though they can't hear. The other person can't hear in the other car, but they might start cursing at the person for being dumb or cutting them off or whatever. But it's different when we do it. And so this can be an interesting practice in that, as there's only the self, and the self is responsible for everything, that you actually play with and practice from the point of view that I'm responsible. I'm 100% responsible for everything in my experience. And so if you're driving along and someone cuts you off, you're responsible. You did that. If someone pulls out and does something stupid, you did that. And when you reframe or look at it from this point of view of I'm 100% responsible, I did that, I find that irritation, anger, things like that don't show up in the same way. We're far more forgiving. Somebody cuts us off and it's like, yeah, that was me. It just kind of goes away. Because we like to forgive ourselves for our flubs, but we hold other people far more responsible than ourselves a lot of times. And so when you play with this, I am responsible for everything, it does make things a little different, the way you interact with people. So if somebody does something that, somebody says something insulting, I did that. And as you keep as you keep bringing it up that it was you, you're 100% responsible for everything that happens, you may find that things don't carry the charge. There isn't this reaction. There isn't this negative reaction anymore. Because we don't tend to chew ourselves out as much as we chew out other people and other interactions with others. Now with free will and choice, you could also even kind of play with everything was chosen. I know that's kind of a new age and spiritual saying. You hear it sometimes as they go, act as if you chose everything. Well, actually from non-duality, you chose everything. You don't have to act as if. You actually did choose everything. And among the things that was chosen was randomness and chance. And so if you leave, for example, what you're going to do to a roll of the dice, and the roll of dice comes up that something bad happens, you chose that. You can't say it happened to you due to chance. Even the chance is chosen in terms of you chose it to be up to chance. And so the results are also your responsibility. And so everything is chosen, and you are responsible for those choices. It's an interesting way to actually look at the world and play with things, because we like to blame, we like to point the finger elsewhere, we like to shirk being the one responsible. But we can play with being 100% responsible for everything. Not that we have to blame and be extremely down and mean to ourselves. War, Ukraine, or whatever, and go, well, yep, that was me. You don't need to beat yourself up over it, because you also got to remember to look at things as a drama, a play. And when you're writing a story, everything can't be great all the time. No one's interested in that kind of story. There's got to be a climax. There's got to be challenge. There's got to be ups and downs and twists and turns. And there's got to be villains to have heroes. And so, do authors beat themselves up for what their villains do? They are responsible for writing the villain and responsible for what was written, for what happened. But do they beat themselves up over it? No, because the game needed it, the play needed it to be interesting. You needed all this other stuff. And so remember to be kind and compassionate with yourself. Be kind to yourself, even though you are recognizing you are 100% responsible for everything. It may not be an easy thing to come to terms with, because we really don't want to be responsible. And so be aware of that. Delve into that. Notice how you are creating me and other, what I'm responsible for versus what I'm not responsible for. And you're creating this duality in order to feel better. But the whole show is you. The whole show is self. And as such, you are everything. And you are responsible for everything. Now this, like I said, is for playing as a spiritual practice. It is an interesting way to interact and move in the world. And when something that might normally tick you off or irritate you or something arises, to just pause and go, I'm responsible for that. I did that. It makes you look at things in a different way. It makes the reactions that arise different. It's just a way to play with the idea. So don't take it too seriously. But if you've got any questions, comments, please post below. I'd like to thank all the new subscribers to the channel. While I'm visiting family here in Minnesota, I see we're crossing 3,000 subscribers. And so welcome everybody, and thank you for joining the channel. If you know anybody that might be interested in this video or other videos, feel free to share. The videos are a link. But until next time, thank you much.